What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we have new details about the next new game that Bungie is currently developing. And it's not a Destiny game, and it's not a marathon game. In fact, it's something completely different, codenamed Gummy Bears. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, how many games is this one studio developing? And that's a very good question. In fact, it's such a good question, it actually became a controversy last year. And that's because a big round of layoffs happened within 2024, and one of the major catalysts behind these layoffs was Bungie undertaking too many what they referred to as incubation projects, trying to develop too many different games that just went nowhere, and almost all of them ended up being shut down with next to nothing to show for it. And of course, all the Destiny 2 players collectively went, are you allergic to spending money on Destiny 2, on the game that's currently out and people are actually playing, Bungie? Imagine if those resources actually went to supporting Destiny 2. That's another topic, guys. But as part of these layoffs, one incubation project didn't get shut down, and it's not Marathon. Marathon is a fully fledged game under development, has already been announced, but there was something else, and that was the codename Gummy Bears. As part of these layoffs, there was actually a bit of an interdepartmental shuffle with Sony. So previous to these layoffs, Sony had purchased Bungie for $3.6 billion, and when these layoffs started, instead of laying off even more people, they actually took the team working on that Gummy Bears incubation project and moved them over to Sony to keep this project alive, because apparently this is the project, codenamed Gummy Bears, that out of all of these incubation projects that caused so much trouble, this was the one that showed the most promise. And it is currently under development with that Bungie team moved over to Sony. So Bungie and Sony are co-developing this game. So that's kind of the background. That's the lore of the situation if you've never heard of codenamed Gummy Bears. So recently, the Gaming Post came out with a great new article revealing new details about codenamed Gummy Bears. So they say it's a team-based competitive MOBA game, and it's officially transitioned from Bungie to a new PlayStation studio with around 40 Bungie developers spearheading its continued development. Now, if you hear MOBA, you might be like, oh my god, a MOBA game really in 2025? But hold on a second, because it does have a massive twist. Now, they then talk about the transition that I already explained, transferring it over to PlayStation, but here are the details. So they say Gummy Bears is a MOBA at its core, with a playful twist. It incorporates elements inspired by Nintendo's hit platform fighting game, Super Smash Bros. This is according to multiple sources familiar with the project who wish to remain anonymous as they cannot publicly discuss the company's plans. So they continue, saying players won't have traditional health bars. Instead, the game uses a percentage-based damage system where characters are knocked back further based on how much damage they've taken or inflicted. So that is very similar to Super Smash Bros, right? Like below your character, you have the percentage, and it's just, it goes up and up and up, and you can survive some crazy stuff, but eventually, if it's high enough, you will fly off the map. Now, they also say that the game features multiple game modes catering to various player preferences and 3 distinct class types. You have support, attack, and defense. One source told us that players could hang out with friends in between matches and express their identities in the game. So maybe something like the Fortnite pre-game lobby, or heck, this is going to be quite the reference, quite the boomer reference, Call of Duty World War II, the HQ, where you'd hang out, you'd open all your random packs and stuff in there. It was like kind of like a social space, or again, probably I should have used the example instead of that, the Destiny Tower. You have this inter-game social space where you can go emote with everyone, potentially, pick up people to play with, etc. Now, after that, they then say more about the aesthetics and the look of the game. So, with a lo-fi, cozy aesthetic, Gummy Bears is aiming to appeal to a younger audience compared to Bungie's previous works. This tonal shift reflects a deliberate effort to diversify the studio's portfolio and connect with new demographics. Now, certainly when we look at some of the images credited to Bungie, like of codename Gummy Bears, like it definitely looks like that. It looks like lo-fi. Any one of these could be the lo-fi girl listening to the 10-hour repeat. But also, again, that more fantasy, more colorful palette does indicate those things, right? But it's hard to tell. And also, just because it's maybe trying to shift towards a younger audience doesn't mean it's going to completely alienate an old audience, or maybe it is. Maybe get ready for skibbity toilet crossovers and the most cringe dialogue you've ever heard in your life. That's very possible. Regardless, guys, they then say, and here's the interesting part, and again, it's what I talked to about earlier, internally, the game has been described as Bungie's quote, most fun project from incubation, receiving overwhelmingly positive feedback from playtests. It's understood that Gummy Bears has been in development for around 3 years. So again, that's really important. Like every other incubation project, they just ended up shutting down. So right now, it's like Destiny 2 is currently out, they're making Marathon, and then all these other projects went to the wayside except for this one. Like this one was apparently like the diamond in the rough. So even if you're hearing this and you're like, this game sounds weird or whatever, like again, it's been getting, out of all these projects, it's the one getting all the positive feedback, which is quite interesting. In fact, I did some digging and found a post from the official Bungie Twitter account in August of 2023 where they're posting about hiring for their new projects. We're hiring for something new almost exactly a year before the layoffs. Yikes. But in that post, they actually reply and say, one of our favorite incubation projects is a team-based action game inspired by several genres in a brand new science fantasy universe. It draws inspiration from fighting games, platformers, MOBAs, life sims, and frog-type games wrapped up in a light-hearted comedic world. So, based on the new information we've talked about today, this absolutely sounds like it's referencing Gummy Bears. They talk about fighting games, with the Smash Bros. Crossover, MOBAs, a lighthearted, comedic, bright world. Like, these are things that, again, would seemingly indicate they're talking about how much fun Gummy Bears is all the way back in 2023. And if they are referencing that, potentially this, we're hiring picture is another picture of an in-game screenshot of Gummy Bears. That's actually pretty crazy. So a few more things to know. They kind of summarize the key details here. So it's a PvP team-based competitive game. While fundamentally a MOBA, the game's Smash Bros. Influences mean it feels distinct from other entities in the genre. So falling off maps and replacing health bar eliminations. There are multiple game modes planned. Gummy Bears is described as having a lo-fi and cozy vibes, a sharp departure from Bungie's usual dramatic, high-stakes sci-fi worlds. The project has been praised internally as Bungie's most fun project out of incubation. The game targets a younger demographic with vibrant, colorful visuals. Us old geezers like colors too, guys. Come on. You can expect a variety of roles, including support, attack, and defense classes, and Gummy Bears has now been in development overall for 3 years. Those are the key points. Now, they also say, in addition to these sourced details, Bungie's recent patent filing sheds light on potential gameplay mechanics for Gummy Bears. The patent describes a system where towers in MOBA games can dynamically move, jump, dodge attacks, and use special abilities when charged. For instance, a tower might retaliate after taking significant damage by performing a powerful area of effect attack to stun enemies. Such mechanics could introduce new layers of strategy and unpredictability, setting Gummy Bears apart from other mobile games in the genre. And if you want to see those patents, here's kind of what they look like. You can see that there's a non-player state machine AI. It has all these different characteristics. and it's going through these different, questions. Is it going to do this? Is it going to do that? Did something happen? Then that leads to using a special ability, jumping towards a point, and that's kind of what they're talking about. So having those towers be able to dynamically react to situations, that is very interesting, right? Now, when will we see this game? Who knows? Clearly, Bungie is not ready to reveal too much, but maybe we're going to start to see some teasers, especially on the PlayStation side of things. Some state of play might randomly have a little snippet of Gummy Bears, and hopefully this all works out well. I don't know, if this game pops off, who that would truly benefit. Did Bungie completely lose control of this IP, shifting it over to PlayStation? Who really knows? But just an interesting thing happening within the gaming landscape. What do you guys think? Do you think Gummy Bears sounds fun, cringe, bad? Let me know in the comment section down below. Guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you want to keep up to date with the channel activity, be sure to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. And again, as always, have a good day.